So, here I am in Osaka, and I have this massive city at my doorstep. So I decided to check that out. And, I found all the resources that I needed to get myself established. But the unique challenges out here were, getting rejected by banks because they didn't understand what our industry was or what we did. Apparently, we're qualified as entertainment IT. So we're in between that of an animation company and Fujitsu, which we're not. And so it's like, no, we're XR and we don't know what that is. So we're rejecting you just based on the fact that we just don't understand what you do.
It's very interesting that you bring up this challenge because we had a guest recently, Brittany, who had the very same problem when she applied to get her company registered basically and up and running.
Yeah.
And the immigration office at the time, and as well as the bank maybe, also didn't understand the concept of something that doesn't kind of check the boxes that they have on the list. So how do you go around that? How do you figure this out with a bank?
Well, that is a lot of meetings with my lawyer to kind of go back and forth. It's revisions, it's submissions, it's crossing our fingers, it's getting rejection letters, it's hopefully we get some feedback, and if we don't, is guess where the changes need to happen. It's a long, drawn-out process. It's not as straightforward as a drop-down or of do you fit any of this list? No, other, cool. Can you just write what that other is, and we'll be satisfied with that. Like, it's very much like if it's not written in stone, then it doesn't exist out here. And there's sort of no wiggle room or negotiations around that. So we've had to conform to, we're an IT company, but that puts us in the competition with, companies that set up, internet and fax machines for companies, and it's like, that's not us. So trying to describe what we do, much in this manner here, to the average Japanese business, is very painstakingly, because it's a lot of confused looks, right? Because if I don't mention TeamLab as a reference there, then there's no bridge that connects me to that person.
They need this one thing, right? They can refer to that. Oh yeah, okay, it's somewhat like TeamLab, this kind of also spatial design company that has big kind of outdoor spaces in Tokyo and Osaka.
Right.
And then that clicks.
And this is another unique challenge I specifically have here, is sort of this lack of imagination of, like, we can't think beyond what's already been created, right? So, hey, you're like TeamLab, well, TeamLab's here. Why do we need another one of TeamLab, right? TeamLab just takes care of it all, right? That's it, one and done. So there's room for competition, and yet it seems like that's sort of like a hill most people just do not want to climb. And so it's just left there to be observed. I said, well, no, we can exist here and we can do that. Or here, we're trying to push beyond what TeamLab is doing. And it doesn't click most of the time, especially in the presentation form. So we have to now build out prototypes to say, this is what we're doing. And then maybe we get to come together on the same thought.
Eventually you made it through. You got the bank approved.
Yes.
What came next? What were the following challenges that you had to hoop through, basically?
Yeah, I mean, the following challenges, which I still have today, it's networking. It's getting us out there. It's getting, people aware of us, getting trust built, of our reputation, getting meetings, pitching what we're doing, understanding what their problems are, and even get to that point is developing that relationship to even get an introduction to a meeting. And then just getting people to say, oh, I understand it. This is really, really cool. I think we can make this work, right? And that's just resilience, but that's not a Japan-specific challenge. That happens anywhere in the world if you're an entrepreneur. Here specifically, it's I feel like you have to kind of do double or triple the time invested into one particular task or process.
Because it's more difficult to build trust than maybe back in the US or in Canada.
Yeah. I mean, it would be so easy for me back home to, go into a meeting, have a public introduction with somebody, have a frank conversation, quickly turn into a pitch if the opportunity presents itself. Here's my portfolio, here's my body of work, here's some of my past clients. That's enough to say, let's have a conversation. Maybe we can jump into figuring out what an MOU is going to be between us. That's way too fast of a process over here. That's something like, well, we'll come back at this maybe 6 to 12 months. So when I do see, visiting delegations out here insisting on trying to get an MOU going on day one, I can see panic in many Japanese people's faces who are on the receiving end of that MOU. Like, this is too soon.